Behind every major event, from concerts to national celebrations, there's a whole world of people you don't normally see. Today's guest, James Mistry, has built a career inside this exact industry. From starting on the ground in the UK event scene to founding Jam Event Services across the UAE, Qatar and Saudi Arabia, he's learned what it's like to scale in such a location. In this episode, we go beyond the surface, into the pressure, lessons and the hard realities of working in high-stakes environments, and what that teaches you about leadership, resilience, and execution. Ladies and gentlemen, this is James Mistry.
James, thank you. James, thank you for coming on today. It's you don't say this often, but it's a cloudy day in Dubai.
Yeah. It is, yeah.
But yeah, we're here. We're recording another podcast. Who are you and what do you do?
Fantastic question. Listen, my name is James Mistry. I am the founder and CEO of Jam Event Services, based in Dubai and Riyadh. Essentially, we're an event services company. We provide specialist people to the events industry across the GCC.
Cool. What was, kind of some of your earliest context and stuff? What did, growing up and stuff, what did you see yourself doing? What did maybe success look like? Yeah, what was, your career path in your mind at that time?
Listen, I think in business, if you will, I was a bit of a late starter. So I grew up in the UK and I was in London for 10 years before I moved to Dubai. For me, I had, from my 20s onwards, even younger, there was a lot of partying. We had a lot of fun. There wasn't a lot of work that went on then, and it was, which I believe in. I think even to this day, I think it's important that young adults get that out of their system or kind of do that rather than, be like yourselves at the moment, 18, I don't really know where to go and all of this. So it's like, it's plenty of time for work. You can, you can navigate and get into that. So I think for me, it wasn't till a good few years later that I kind of, started getting into the events industry and wanted to get into that. Why did I do that? I wanted to find a job where I could drink beer at work. And that was, that was a driver at that, the irony of that now that I'm sat behind a desk X amount of hours every day and I'm barely on an event site, but that's kind of what happens. So I think, listen, the driver for me to get into events, it was passion. It was an industry I wanted to be involved in, and yeah.
Did you know much about it before you got involved, or did you just learn along the way?
I've been to quite a few, but on the other side of the fence, if you will. So I had a lot of friends that were involved in putting on events, and listen, we were out partying all the time. London was a great place to live and work. So yeah, I think my experience came from being, in it from the public side, if you will. From there, it was like, yeah, I can make a career out of this. Yeah.
Can you talk us through your prior roles and maybe stuff that you were taking out of those roles as you went along that made you that gave you that ability to take that leap and go into events on your own?
I think, listen, if I'm really honest, I wouldn't say it was my prior experience that I almost was transferable. It was, I always wanted to get into events. I didn't really know how to, yeah? And funnily enough, it was, an ex-girlfriend broke up with me. And I was like, well, I can prove to you that what you can miss here sort of thing. But it was, which sounds absolutely mental, but it was, that was the turning point for me to be like, okay, listen, we're partying, we're having loads of fun, but we're not really going anywhere. What do you want to do with your lives? And, at that point, I took a course in event management. So I was working on a construction site during the day, working on a construction site, coming home, doing that in the evening, So I've always been quite driven. I think you've got to have that in whatever you're doing if you want to have any level of business or success, however you define success. So I think it was, for me to get into that, I started doing a course. I then started volunteering wherever I could, yeah? So, I grew up in Clevedon, Bristol, which is kind of, 2 hours west of London. A great party scene and event scene there. So before I moved to London for 10 years, I just started volunteering at stuff. I was a steward at a vegan festival. You're nodding, it wasn't as exciting. Yeah. There's nothing deeper in that story. Yeah, it is what it is. You know, very early on, I went into an event control room for the St. Paul's Carnival, which is a local event I'd been to for years. And that was a real eye-opener for me. I was in an event control room with police, ambulance, fire, you know, all of this with things kicking off. I didn't understand anything. I didn't even know what they did in that room at that point in time. And I think it was really, you know, doing something educational wise to get the foundations of what I needed to do within the events world, then getting the on the ground experience. And it's like, there was no better way for me, you know. Moving on from that, I just moved to London at this point. I started working for a couple of events companies, but I was mainly working for a crewing company, yeah, which is essentially the people who build your stages, lighting, sound, etc., etc. A large part of that is unpacking trucks, yeah, it's banging trucks all day, boxes out of trucks all day, and that was the hands-on experience again of understanding what hard graft is, understanding what events is, which is unsociable hours, long hours. And I think I've said this before, cutting your teeth in the events world, to come from that side of it, the hands-on side of it, you can't better that. Yeah, because you understand how all the equipment goes together. You understand what the dangers are, the problems with timing, production scale. You know, it's the best basis to then move into anything else within the events industry. And there's 100 different jobs within that. You know.
What was it like starting, you know, even the first year of Jam, like the challenges that came with it that might not just be in the event industry, but the overall business challenges that you had to overcome?
I think within the first year of Jam, you know, so I've been in Dubai 8 years now, yeah? I started Jam after a few months of being in Dubai, yeah? I was working freelance before that. So, you know, in the UK, had a few jobs. So I came out to Dubai, worked for an agency, left after 2 weeks because it wasn't what it says on the tin, and then set up Jam. And, you know, within that first year, listen, I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah, I hadn't run a business before. I had a goal, I had a vision, I had some ideas, and it was persistence. Yeah, and I remember even when I'd set Jam up, I was kind of working for one client, you know, the majority of the time. I'd then come home at 6 o'clock, get my laptop out, and I'd be like, I wonder if anyone's emailed back. I wonder if I remember these times. You know, I'd open the laptop and be like 0 emails. I'd be like, damn. So then I'd spend the next 4 hours smashing, you know, trying to get more work. Then I'd go the next day, go back to that one main client, come home at 6 o'clock. You know what I mean? So it was persistence. It was navigating. I just moved to Dubai as well. So we're trying to set up in a new place that I didn't know and understand. And I'd go to events. I'd go to events and I'd be like walking around being, hey, who's this? And it's like, it's so funny because some people would be massively accepting and want to help you. Shout out to Nadine Manning. And then other people, you'd be like, nah, mate, no jobs here. There's no, because they think you're going to steal their job. And it's like, it's not really like that once you're, you know, the world doesn't work like that, but it's just different people's outlooks. So in terms of challenges, it was, listen, you don't know anyone. You're trying to move forward in an industry you know and understand, but you don't understand the nuances of that new place, yeah? So yeah, there was 101 challenges, as there are today, you know, but I think if you've got persistence, if you've got that fight, that mentality, that, you know, then you can kind of, you know, you'll be okay, yeah.
Can you talk us through some of those initial events? Like what were you trying to put on and yeah, what value and stuff were you trying to create?
I think, listen, we don't put on events, yeah? What we do is we provide people for events, you know? So I was trying to essentially drop people into companies or government entities and, you know, trying to get more business that way, yeah? As I said, I had that one main client at the start. They owned a real estate investment company. They owned a flying yacht company. They owned a drone company. a horse riding company. They owned this massive, bizarre portfolio of things. So it was after 6 months, I was speaking to my friends back home, and they're like, "What are you doing out there?" And I was like, "Well, I'm on a flying yacht today." And they're like, "You're an idiot, man." They were like, "We didn't think you'd turn into an idiot so quickly." But that was the crazy kind of Dubai opportunities that you get. So, I was working on this portfolio for them and then slowly started to break into the agency world at the same time. I think some of our first events outside of that we worked on was like launches for the new Lamborghini and stuff like this. So it really was, it kind of matched some of the things you thought about Dubai before you've moved here, like working with Lamborghini and Ferrari and all of the top brands, if you will. And then I think for us, once you got your foot in the door, once you do what you say you're going to do. Yeah, not the, for want of a better word, not an inshallah mentality, but just like, actually, you're going to be there at 9, you turn up at 8:45. Yeah, you say you're going to do that, you do that plus 10%. And I think once that was shown to people, they just want to work with you. I think it's, as you guys will probably know and are working through, it's all about relationships. People want to work with people. Yeah. And it's like, that's important. I think that's really important. Yeah.
What other value do you get out of those relationships, those networks that like we've experienced building these networks?
Yeah.
It creates such a sense of, I know this person who can help me with this, I know this person, but it also just creates good, friendly relationships as well.
Listen, it's community. It was yesterday I was messaging back and forwards with the owner of what could be considered a rival company of ours. Yeah. And he does, in one part of what Jam does, they're the biggest in the industry in the GCC here. And it's exactly that. I was like, wanted to ask him something about, a scenario that was going on, and I knew he was involved as well. And we went back and forwards, and we were speaking 4 weeks before that. And I think it's community, man. And I think you can learn from people that have trod the same path before you. You know what I mean? So I think all these networks, these community, of course, business comes out of it as well, but it's about building relationships, and you find out how you can add value to people, not necessarily in a business sense, and how they can do the same for you. You know what I mean? So listen, we were chatting before this morning, and I'm like finding out about the life of an 18-year-old in Dubai. And it's like, it's, I think there's mutual benefits from all the different networks. Business is always part of that, but it doesn't need to be the driver every time. Yeah.
Back when you initially started Jam Events, what did you actually see it becoming long term? Did you see it or was it just like a phase for you because you were still just loved that kind of way of life and everything because you were still in that stage of life? Or did you see it as something that you'd grow out of and it was just going to be a short phase for you?
I think when I started Jam in Dubai and in the GCC, it was not the company it is today. Yeah, 100%. And I think I came from more the event production background. So I was production manager delivering these events on behalf of the clients and stuff. And, there was an opportunity within one field that I saw here that was happening because of Expo. So we kind of started going down that lane in the safety part. We then added on the other segments after that. So I think I'm sure many businesses will say that, we started with one thing, we see more of an opportunity and it navigates through. Where Jam will be in 5 years, I don't know. It's written in our strategy, but we don't know how, we'll have to see how that goes. So I think you've got to have your goals, you've got to have your vision, and then you've got to be listening to the market as well. The market that we entered 8-9 years ago is different to what it is now. So you need to adapt and change as the market's changing. Yeah.
What did you see in Dubai? Like your reason to move the business over here, move yourself over here? That wouldn't have been an easy decision, I imagine. It was. What did you see that was different?
It was not much. I was having a fantastic time in London. Yeah. So Dubai, I'd seen a couple of postcards of what it looked like. Listen, it was driven by my wife. She wanted to do something different, and we were both worried about. We'd been in London 10 years. She'd been there longer. we're partying all the time, we're enjoying ourselves, we're doing, and we were like, we could turn around and we're 60 and we're still doing this. Yeah. Should we go and have an adventure? And I was like, yeah, all right, babe. All right. And listen, we did it. Now this is home. We're, it's where's the next adventure? What's next? So I think it's, Dubai was, from my side, there wasn't huge, deep thought on, on Dubai. I knew it had an event scene here. That's all I needed to know. Do they do events there? Yeah, they got budgets. Wicked, let's go play, yeah.
What's something about the industry that you feel not many people know, but you were confronted with pretty heavily early on?
Wow, what's PC enough that I can say in this, yeah? I think it's, what did I not know? Maybe I didn't realize. So maybe and maybe that's just due to where I was at in my stage of life and my age and everything. Probably how relationship driven it is. Yeah, that people buy from people, and it's all about. I was having this conversation with a client yesterday. Yeah, and I was. They were trying to get some leverage from us, and I was like, listen, our relationship's broken at the moment. Yeah, I was like, we give, but we're not getting anything back. You're our client, I respect that, but we've got to look after each other. And I think, so that's probably not even the industry, that's just a lack of understanding for myself, that all of this stuff's not transactional. It's like, I want this, give you this, you pay. There's everything else that goes around it, So I think that's probably business learning more than anything else, yeah.
Then, and now, without revealing too much, there's
Here we go.
there's been periods of time, COVID and maybe now, that the events industry's just come to a standstill or just slowed down a lot. Without revealing too much about, exactly what your business did to navigate, what were the habits, the skills that you had to call on to get through those tough times?
Listen, during COVID 2020, we were 3 years, we'd been here 3 years then. So the business wasn't hugely developed. We had under 10 people. So we scaled down. And personally for me, my wife was pregnant with our first child at that time. So COVID hit and she was due 2 weeks later. It was obviously COVID was not great, but that was perfect timing. Yeah. Because I got to I would have been on site working and doing all of that once my first kid had been born. So for a global pandemic to happen and give me the space to actually be a father at the start, it kind of worked out for me. In terms of the business stuff, we worked on COVID hospitals during that time. As I said before, part of what we do is safety. So, we were trying to manage safety on sites that were being built for COVID hospitals. It was insane. And it's, people were reaching out to us, what do we do? And it's like, of course we work in the occupational health and safety industry, but we are not specialists in, global pandemics. So for us, there was a lot of research going on at that time so that we could advise our clients with the right things. But it was something I personally did at that time, even with just having a baby. I took education, yeah? And it's even, the conflict that's happening at the moment. People should... I'm a firm believer that you should be educating yourself all the time, yeah? No matter what you're doing. Listen carefully, boys, yeah? You as well. So you should constantly be doing courses. You should constantly be learning. And it's, I think how do you end up finding what you want to do in life is by doing loads of, in terms of work, yeah? You do loads of things that you don't enjoy. Yeah, and I think once you do them and go, right, I'm going to try and do this, I'm not enjoying that. You've done it, you don't want to do that. That's a massive tick in the box. That's like you've won as far as I'm concerned, because you don't want to be an estate agent. So you're one step closer to where you want to get to. Yeah.
What kind of confidence and natural momentum did it give you with the business as, being able to get through such rough times? I'm speaking particularly to the COVID, given it was a few years ago now, in terms of coming out of that period?
I think it's, as a business and personally, you went through something that you never expected and wasn't planned. Yeah, you learned a lot from that. Even as a community, the events community within the GCC, it pulled together. Yeah, everyone was in the same boat. It was You know, how can you help the freelancers who suddenly don't have, you know, don't have money coming in? How do you help an industry that doesn't have events happening? What do you do? So there was a lot of community that went on there, and there was a lot of learning. You know, if we take that to where we're at today, listen, we're in conflict, call it what we want at the moment, but we're in unsettled times. As an industry, we are 100% back where we were with COVID. Yeah. It's COVID 2.0. Yeah. Within that, we've got the learnings from what happened in COVID before as a business and people individually. They've got learnings from there which they can transfer to now. Yeah.
So how do businesses, not just in the event industry, but other businesses, and hospitality might be struggling here a lot, how do they navigate these times?
I think, listen, I can talk about ourselves, but I don't have the answer for how a hotel that employs 350 people that suddenly has no guests, they can't adapt and suddenly do a couple of podcasts, or you know, it's difficult. But again, it's just like COVID, this too shall pass. Yeah, it's like this is something that's happening now. Sure, we don't have sight of the end of it, but you know, I firmly do believe with the leadership we have here, with you can't stop Dubai. Yeah, you can't stop the Middle East. It just, you know, it's forever evolving. Once this short blip at the moment is over, it will come back bigger and harder. It will invest money. It will, you know, so at the moment, it's, listen, it's an ideal time for any business to do all of the stuff they talk about they're going to do and they never do. Yeah. And every company I know is like that, no matter what industry they're in. Yeah. So all of these things you want to do and you never get to. No excuses now. Yeah. Buckle down, get them done. So I think a lot of a lot of businesses should and will be thinking like that, you know, at the current time. And then on a personal level, education, man. There's so many courses out there, free courses on AI and everything that can get you up to speed, even if you can't afford that at the moment. If I was a freelancer in the events industry in the GCC now, I'd be looking at what work there is. There's work in Saudi, there's work, you know, there's work in different areas. I'd be looking at moving to Europe for the summer because there's loads of work there. I'd also be looking at what courses can I do to better myself and also to increase my value to our clients once we come out of this.
Yeah, that probably leads me on well, because I was just about to, you know, ask something in this respect. Because yeah, like, what void do you feel young people like us could be aspiring to, you know, fulfill? And yeah, what are the initial steps and stuff? You spoke about AI courses and that, but yeah, what are the specific steps that we could be taking to, you know, key in the whole in the industry?
I kind of want to answer that in a bit of a different way. Yeah, because I don't think that you should be looking at what, you know, where could I fit in the industry? I think it should be driven by what do you want to do? Yeah. And I think it's that age-old thing, you know, if you have a passion for the industry you're working in, yeah, then like, of course it's work. And people say, I don't work a day in my life. You do, man. Come on. You know, but if you've got a passion for what you want to do, if you get up in the morning and you're like, yeah, wicked, you know, I'm so lucky to work in an industry I want to. Yeah, we work on cool events. We work on, we solve problems for clients. Yeah, and we get to problem solve all day. And, you know, I still have a passion for the industry I work in. Yeah, and I think as a youngster, as a young adult, you know, to find something you want to do, to find something you're interested in, how you will monetize that as you get older, you'll work that out. Yeah, if you've got a head on your shoulders and you understand how the world works, but you'll work that out as you go through. So I think if you can find something now that you have a passion in, that when you get up in the morning, you're like, hell yeah, let's go and do that. That's step one. Yeah, that's the first thing you should be looking for. And as I said before, like, yeah, what gaps could you fill within the industry? Just go to some events, go volunteer for some stuff, speak to some companies, some agencies. We'll help you out if you're bored, you know. And yeah, try some stuff, work out what you don't like. Yeah. naturally you'll find from there what you do like.
You've spoken a bit about education and how important it is to keep learning.
Yeah.
Where does university fit into all of this? Because people come straight out of school and, you know, they head straight off to university, which isn't necessarily a bad thing if you know that that's the path you're going to take, I guess. But in your eyes, what's the importance of university compared to, you know, being able to do courses and learning online now?
That's a really good question. I try not to get myself in trouble here. Personally, I don't think the university route is the best for everyone. I think it's the type of person that you are. You know, if you want to be a vet, of course, then you need to. If you want to be a vet or a doctor, you know that when you're younger, go to university, follow that route forward, and you know that's fantastic for you. I think it's so heavy to put on a 17-year-old, 18-year-old being like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? Like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's like, you don't know at that age, yeah? I went to university for a year. I had the best time, the absolute best time, yeah? But I didn't complete anything, you know? I then, you know, drifted for a while and, you know, ended up where I am today. You don't need university. I feel like 10, 20 years ago, you had to have university to take those next steps in life. There's so much available now in terms of free education, online education and all of that. So I think it could be argued, yeah, if you know and understand what you want to do, fantastic, go to university. I don't believe that we live in an age now where, which was 20 years ago, what I was living in, which was basically, you have to go to university to get a degree to show you can get a degree. Doesn't matter what it's in, but you've proved you've got a degree. We don't live in those times anymore. I don't believe anyway.
So you think there really is a space for people to progress and, you know, climb into the career path that they've always wanted without taking that tertiary education, and can be doing it through online education, volunteering, internships, and that more practical on the ground experience?
100%. And I think it's I guess it's that work experience versus the educational side, yeah? And it's, again, this is different role for role. But yeah, if you're like in the events industry, for a large majority of the roles, going on site and learning how it's all done there, that would be the best way to learn. Of course, with certain technicalities, you need to go and do some education around it. But yeah, I do believe it's better to kind of go into the field, have a look, see if you like it, then you can do further education on it. Not going before you've even looked at it, right, here's the next 3 years about something you've never dipped your toe in before. So I think this is helping you guys. It's important to take a bit of a break at that stage. It's important to have a look around and it's also fine having some jobs which are no pressure, you know, at that time where you're just, you don't need to run into it. That's how I feel about it anyway.
We talked about some disruptions like COVID and the situation now, but AI is nonetheless a big disruption as well.
Yeah.
In a good way and a bad way, I guess. But how has it affected you, your business? How do you see it in the future?
It's a daily topic in our office. Yeah, it's, I would say probably about a year ago, we started looking at the implications of it. And then that moved very quickly into what can it do for us? How can we integrate it into the business? How can we use it for our clients? Yeah. So I think it's massive in any industry. Yeah, the impact is phenomenal. The impact people just don't even really know or understand. And I think you've got two camps of people at the moment, basically, which is the ones who are acknowledging it and working with it and seeing, you know, getting to understand it. And then you've got the people who are like, nah, that's a load of rubbish. And I'm not, you know, which, you know, especially in an industry like events where, you know, a lot of the work, some of the work is hands-on, you know. So for our industry, it will be huge. Yeah. And I think it will take some jobs away at some point. We're not quite there yet. We're doing a number of things as a company. I won't go into those now. I know other companies that are doing the same, but I think it's listen, you've got to hug that and run with it, and it's happening. So jump on board or get left behind. Yeah.
What kind of level of proficiency in AI are you wanting from your employees that you already can currently have, or are looking and predominantly, looking at for hiring?
I think everyone within the company should have a basic level of understanding, which we do training for. Yeah. So you have to, so everyone's working at the same level and understanding where we can save time. You've got to be careful because it's not just about saving time. We still need to have that human personal touch. So it's not it's a bit of a balance there. Yeah. I think for us as a company, we're engaging with lots of different people at lots of different levels because we need different things for different parts of the business. It's ever evolving day to day. Everything changes, and this is the best thing to use for that. Someone brings something else out, so you've got to have your finger on the pulse as well.
Do you see your business moving elsewhere, like in the future, not just the Middle East and the UK, like anywhere else?
Yeah, quite possibly. Listen, we're a team of 30. There's only so much full time. There's only a certain amount of work that can be done by that amount of people, We're very lucky that we're busy a lot of the time, yeah? So I think it's, there's always opportunities for that. Yeah, good question. Quite possibly.
I was just looking down a certain avenue of what your event services business, approaches, and one of that is crowd safety and management consultancy.
Yeah.
How high is the benchmark really coming in that space, given, of recent times, not too long ago, we've had some catastrophic incidents at certain events. So what is the expectation now? And probably it's still region by region, but if you could just, help us understand that picture.
Listen, I think it's taken more seriously than it was, if we're talking about crowd management, it's understood and taken more seriously within this region than it was, say, 5-10 years ago. Yeah. There's also more of an understanding from our clients and from government entities about the separation from event safety and crowd management and what crowd management means, So I think it's good to see that. There's also legislation within the region which will be coming out, which will define that more, which will put more guidelines around that. Yeah, we were also involved in some of that years ago for Abu Dhabi. So I think it's progressive, but you still have, in developed countries, you've still got incidents happening, where people are dying as well. So it's good that it's understood more here. Could more be done? 100%, yeah.
For yourself, you talked about what success looks like. Just it's different for different people, right?
Yeah.
But what did it look like for you when you started out compared to what it looks like for you now?
That is a personal thing, and I think it's when we started out, I could never imagine the events that we're involved in now, the volume of people that we work with or have worked with, the amount of jobs we could be running at one time, delivering well. So yeah, if I'd looked where we are now, 8-9 years ago, I would have never seen that we would have got there. What do I think now? It's never good enough. But that's it's never good enough. It's a mentality thing, isn't it? It's you want to keep reaching new heights. That again goes into personal drive and how you view things. So yeah, James from 8-9 years ago, he'd be like, we could never imagine the global events that we've worked on now, such as the World Cup, Formula One. Yeah, so James today is like, let's go, man. Come on, we're just starting. Yeah.
Can you talk us through how something like, being involved in the F1 or the World Cup come about? Like, we've spoken about how important networking is. Was it someone who knew someone? Or how did you find yourself being a part of such a huge...
I think the events network within the GCC is tight, It's... everyone knows everyone, and there's a certain amount of companies, AV companies, there's hundreds, if not thousands, yeah? For other parts of what we do, there's only 4 or 5 companies that do it, So word of mouth helps with that kind of stuff. We're also very lucky because we work for a lot of event agencies. So the event agencies do the hard work and win the job, and then we get to work with them. Yeah. So yeah, but you know, the opportunity to work on global events such as those, it's groundbreaking. I remember the first Formula One we worked on was in 2022, and when we won this, it was one of those, we were looking around the office at each other like, this is just insane. And we just won some other big work on some other projects as well. And we were, I think that was one of the first times it hit home, and it was like, you know, this is incredible what we're doing here. Yeah.
Wow.
Why is entrepreneurship different to just having a 9 to 5 job? Like, what are the things that are different?
I think my wife should be the person to answer that. Yeah. I guess I'll answer this in a couple of different ways. I think, again, that's probably industry to industry. Event industry is full on. Yeah. For the season that you're working in. Yeah. So I think whether you're an employee or, you know, part of senior leadership or an entrepreneur, it's long hours, and you've just got to either have the passion for the industry or go work in something else, because it's not going to work for you. I think any entrepreneur decides they want to do something and goes for it. Yeah. So I don't believe they should ever complain about the long hours and all of that. You get the rewards as well. So it's, is there sometimes you like to just turn the phone off, shut the laptop and be like, you know, I'm gonna, you know, zone out of this one? You don't get that opportunity sometimes, you know? So I think I've mentioned it a few times, mentality. You've got to have that drive. You've got to have the will to want to do it. Yeah, you've got to have the will to understand that, you know, you have employees, you have a team, they have needs, you need to understand them. They're different for every person. I think it's, again, from starting a business to where we are now, you never knew, you know, I never understood that a large part of this is, you're doing business, but you're managing a team. They've all got needs. There's so much more to it. Yeah.
What separates a good events team from a great one? Like when the benchmark is so high and so much is expected to go so smoothly.
I just can't answer that. I'm going to get in so much trouble if I do. That's it's. I think I'll try and be diplomatic in that answer. Yeah. Probably experience. A lot of event teams now are put together by freelancers. Yeah, this was a learning from our industry in COVID, that event companies don't have a team of 100, typically don't have a team of 100. They'll have a small core team. They win an event, then they use a company like ours to hire all their freelancers to deliver that event. Then they scale down again. Yeah. It's important about it's the mix of freelancers that you bring in, that they actually gel together and you create a team. Do you know, I can answer that. It's about creating a team, not having a group of freelancers. So that depends on the management by the company that's running the event, and the culture within the company. I think, that hits the nail on the head with that one,
And so obviously you talked about, you said how it's not a massive team. It's not like a business where there's hundreds of employees or anything. But still, like when you're growing as a business, you're hiring more people. How do you maintain quality?
I think that comes down to the hiring process. For, you know, a learning within our own company is it shouldn't just be me who's speaking to them. It should be other members of the senior team. Yeah, it should be people that are going to work with them. So I think in terms of maintaining quality, it's doing your background checks. Yeah, it's a small industry. Everyone's worked with someone, even whether it's in the UK. We've all got really good networks. So you know someone who's worked with them at some point. Do your research. It's also just about sense checking them, getting a few different people within your team to talk to them. And I think it's, there's two things is, are they going to gel and fit within the culture of the company? And can they do their job? And you've got to have both. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. They won't be there long term if you don't tick both of those boxes.
What's one habit or behavior, and this is either, for yourself personally or more broadly within the teams you work with, that you feel you got right early on or you installed early on that's really helped build that long-term credibility?
I think it's having quality as a business, having quality as our key driver, yeah, and not being kind of being unwavering with that, yeah. So I took a British mentality when I came here of, we say what I mentioned this earlier, you just deliver what you say you're going to deliver. Yeah, the guys don't turn up 20 minutes late, which is socially acceptable, to a meeting, which is socially acceptable in the GCC region because of traffic and all of this. They're there 15 minutes early. They're getting turned away because they've turned up early. It's these small things. And I think if you can instill that within your team, yeah, and it's about just going that extra 5-10%, yeah, how can we add more value? How will that make us different from from other people working in our industry, yeah? And I think it's, if you can instill that, if you can just give your clients a hug, yeah, which is essentially what they need a lot of the time, is just a little bit of professional comfort. And I think if you can instill that and let them know that they've made the right choice by working with you, ultimately we're taking problems away from our clients. That's what we have to do, yeah? So do that well at a good price point, and delivering value and quality is what it is, yeah.
You might have already covered it, but what was one piece of advice that you'd wished you'd got when you started out?
I wish I'd known now what I knew then, is what's one piece of advice? I was lucky, and to this day, I still have them. I've had mentors kind of as I've gone along this journey, which have always been people that I've worked with previously, yeah, that have, they've seen a spark in me, if you will. They've seen the energy that I wanted to move forward, and they've been willing to spend some time and help mentor me and stuff. So I think I've been lucky in that sense that I've had mentors, and you outgrow those as you move forward, So having different mentors along the way has helped me. That doesn't answer your question, I'm avoiding it. I think probably getting more senior people involved in the business earlier. Yeah, but you don't know that when you're starting out, and you don't have the money to do that, and you don't know what you don't know. But I think that's the bit of advice I'd give my younger self from 8 years ago, yeah.
For people who see you and see your journey and see that you've worked across regions and, made that jump from the UK, now living here, and they think in themselves, oh, I'd love to work abroad, I'd love to travel the world and work at the same time. What should they be considering before making that leap? And what kind of backing should they have to feel ensured that that leap is appropriate?
Understand the industry that you're working in and how it works there, yeah? So something like events in the GCC, 8 months a year you're busy. The other, majority of speaking wise, 8 months of the year you're busy, then it's the low season, yeah? So it's about understanding the peaks and troughs. We moved across here in February. The season was like ending in March or April, Luckily I found work. This was a long time ago. So I think understanding the depth of the industry that you want to be in within that new place, yeah? Trying to get some connections before. I think also, I visited Dubai for 1 day before we moved here, yeah? And I was on a hotel on like the Sheikh Zayed Road. I could have been anywhere, could have been here, and I was on a hotel on Sheikh Zayed Road because I didn't know what anything was, And I think it's, if you're going to do that leap, go on holiday there for a week or two. Take that, while you're going on that holiday, go and meet as many people as possible. You'll get an understanding of the industry, the people, the opportunities and all of that. Then you can make an informed decision. And I think it's, if you're looking at moving your whole life to a different country, potentially for 5-10 years, you can take that 2 weeks before to go and do that. So you could call it targeted holidaying. Yeah, it's probably one way to look at it.
How do people find a bigger network, or a network of people that they want to be around. Like, say, for example, someone's living in a small country town, but they know what they want to do. They just need to find the people that are like-minded and have that experience with them. How is it just your original advice? Go to events and sign up to things that those people might be at?
I think you've just got to kind of be in it. I think it's like anything. It's like you've got to turn up, you've got to show up, you've got to put the time in, and naturally you'll meet people, you understand how things work. Be persistent as well. It's like, I'm going to regret that. My LinkedIn will regret me saying that now. But it's like being persistent. I was persistent in the early years of the business all the time. I still am now to some degree. And I think it's, when people see passion, they appreciate that. They also see that's the kind of person I'd like in my business. So I think, yeah, turn up to stuff, volunteer, be helpful. You know, it's, especially in the events industry, people notice the people that go the extra mile. Yeah, people notice the people who are sloping off 10 minutes early. People notice the people who are like, as soon as you say, right guys, I need this doing, every time that person's on it. What you're going to do is when you move to the next event, I've got to have Barry on that event. He'll kill this. Because it's about, you're bringing teams and working with teams of people that make your life easier. That's what you want to do. And you need to have a bit of banter along the way as well. So if you've got that, then that's an extra 10% for us anyway.
If we were to talk about, you know, just on this perspective and the reflections that you've got now, what do you think this industry has taught you about leadership and being able to lead a team through such unpredictable, high-pressure environments?
Listen, you've got to lead from the front. And I think you've got to lead from the front. You've got to instill confidence within your team that you know and understand what we're doing, where we're going, and how we're going to navigate that. Yeah, sometimes that's hard, you know what I mean? Especially when you've got uncertain times and you don't know what's happening. But that's part of the role that you've taken on, you know, by being, you know, at the top of the tree. Yeah. So I think you've got to, you know, I'm very lucky to have some good, solid people around me within the senior leadership team. And then, yeah, that needs to filter out to your team to let them know, listen, we've got a plan. It's cool. This is what's happening right now. However, let's do this, this, and this. Yeah, you've got to lead from the front.
Should people starting now, should they spend a lot of time, you know, months or weeks or months, whatever it is, doing the planning or, you know, doing the research, the development, or should they just jump in and get involved?
Just get involved, man. Yeah. Just go for it. Go and, I think, just get involved, start talking to people, work out, you know. It's also entry-level jobs within the events industry. Again, from you doing, I know some very, very highly paid people within the events industry, both in the UK and in the GCC as well, that started off at the bottom, yeah? And I think I feel like there's a mentality now that everyone wants to be a manager straight away. Everyone wants to go straight, and it's just like, dude, you've got to learn from the bottom, yeah? And it's like you going straight into management and it's like, if you don't understand how it all works at the bottom, then you can't do that anyway, yeah? So there's no shame in rolling up your sleeves, going and doing the groundwork and all of that. You don't have to do it for 5 years, especially if you've got a head on your shoulders and you can move forward quickly. People around you will see that. They will help you progress. So, yeah, get involved, turn up. That's what you need to do.
What do you think separates a successful entrepreneur from someone who just kind of gets stuck in that perpetual loop of trying things and failing and ending up back at square one?
Wow, what a question. I think persistence. Yeah, I think, I don't know, the second person you mentioned then seems to be down on his luck. He's not having, he needs to come out, he needs a good idea, doesn't he? But I think, listen, for entrepreneurship, for successful business, what do I think separates people is mentality, persistence, and you've got to put the hours in, especially in the early years of the business. Yeah, I think there's a misconception that people think success comes by 9 to 5, you know, and it comes easy. Everyone I know that I know a number of small business owners, you know, small under 50 employees within the events industry who are similar age to me, and all of them have got there by being savvy, by having a head on their shoulders, by being good networkers and holding good relationships, but most importantly, by just grafting really hard. Yeah. And I think it's probably, you need to understand, I guess there's being busy and there's being busy for the sake of it. Yeah. So you can do 70 hours a week going nowhere, probably the guy you were saying going around in circles. Yeah. Or you can be doing 60 hours a week or 40 and, you know, be going in the right direction. So I think it's, yeah, be careful not to be busy on the wrong things. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of become a bit of a tradition on the podcast, and it was completely unintentional, but I feel it's really important because, you know, the whole conversation we speak about, and it is those exact traits that you speak about, resilience, putting in the hours and stuff. But what does James get up to beyond Jam? What are your hobbies and interests outside of your business?
Dude, I've got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. Yeah, so I'm lucky that I don't spend the same amount of hours on the business as I did 3-4 years ago. Yeah. So yeah, it's nice to see the wife and kids every now and again. No, spending time with my family. I play paddle, hanging out with friends, going to the UK and seeing family as well. So I think it's mental health for me personally is understood a lot more than it was 10 years ago. Yeah. So it's like having that headspace outside of work makes me operate quicker, better, faster. You know, I'm more on it inside of work. So yeah, doing things outside of work's a lot more benefit. Yeah.
Well, thank you, James. It's
Absolute pleasure.
this conversation, like, I felt like it was a bit more of a quick fire, you know,
Yeah.
question, that kind of thing. But it was more than just the technicalities of business and what exactly a business does and nitty gritty, but it was more meaningful lessons, I think, for us, but also for people watching. So everything that you've given us has been extremely valuable. So thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for the invite.
Thanks, James. All right, we're done.